Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with my late but necessary opinion on Metro Exodus. I know everyone on the channel has been waiting for this one. I'm kidding, I don't really think anyone was on the edge of their seats for this one. But anyway, here we are, finally with my review for this game. I did play it back in February, and I promised I'd make a review then, but I kept delaying it and delaying it. Other content took priority, and here we are, smack dab in the middle of July, dry season, nothing going on, so let's talk Metro Exodus. I enjoyed the game, but I'm not as glowingly positive about it as other reviewers and players, it seems. So I'd like to share those thoughts and discuss in the comments down below. Let's start off with the positive stuff. I really liked, as always in the traditional Metro experience, the more compact, condensed areas. And examples of that, which we experienced in Exodus because it's a lot more open, are the cannibalistic Yamantau bunker or the old base flooded with sand and spiders. There was something that brought a sense of claustrophobia to the game, and also it felt like the best story was delivered in those moments where there was clear focus and it didn't try to completely open up. Another thing I really enjoyed about this game was the trifecta of Miller, Artyom, and Anna. It's a strong set of characters, and they're really the only ones I had any investment in. Now, with that investment there, it doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy the familial feel as you took the Aurora from location to location with your squad, and you watched how they developed relationships with other people because you spent a ton of time together. So there was this solid set of characters, not the best cast I've ever seen, but like I said, that trifecta of Miller, Artyom, and Anna really carried the weight. Although one of my beefs with Artyom is that he was a silent protagonist, which has always been a thing in the Metro series, but in this one they had dialogue that tried to evoke Artyom to speak, but he never would speak, and it felt like just something was going on there, that the writers didn't really communicate with the developers, or something along those lines.
Come in, Artyom. Can you hear me? Over. Artyom, come in. Come in.
But anyway, I also liked the slow, methodical crawling through areas, once again in typical Metro fashion, as you lethally or non-lethally, depending on how you play, picking apart your enemies. It just felt great. Plus the backpack and the customization of weapons, I really like those additions. Now, while the gunplay isn't spectacular, which is not a strong suit for the Metro series, it felt like stealth became more necessary, but I still enjoyed making use of the darkness to hide from my enemies, which sometimes would highlight some AI bugs going on there, where you'd be sitting in darkness, but they'd be facing you and they still wouldn't react at all, even though in any other situation they'd be able to see you. So there were times that the mechanics in the game worked against itself. Finally, the game looks absolutely gorgeous, and that's no secret to anybody. I played on the PC, and between the lighting, textures, draw distance, color usage, and the list goes on, oh my goodness, it looked great. It checked all the boxes with remarkable presentation to boot. Some seriously amazing scenery in this game that just needs to be experienced. It is incredible what the level designers have done with Metro Exodus. But that's about where my high praise, will say, halts. Now, before I go further, because like I said, I know a lot of people like this game more than me, I do want to say that I personally believe Metro Exodus is a good game. I just simply don't love it nearly as much as I had hoped, and that's what I sort of conflict with internally. It's not a game you should pass on, especially now it's coming to the Xbox Game Pass, but I will say I did vastly prefer previous entries in the series more. The open areas for exploration we'll start with sounded fantastic on paper. Almost essentially a open world Metro Exodus. Oh my gosh, that sounds great, but I don't feel they clicked as well as I had wanted. Part of this is, as I mentioned earlier, the more closed off portions of the game are vastly stronger compared to its open area counterparts. When you come up for air and enter these locations, you'll find bandit camps, which are just enemy bases you clear, and notes are scattered about. Occasionally you'll find a side quest or two, such as chasing down a teddy bear in an abandoned train yard for a little girl and doing it for no such reward, just because you want to see her smile. And that's the awesome, impactful stuff that Metro Exodus packs in that I was looking for, but it does feel few and far between. Quite often, when I explored the various locales, I was reminded of actually a Far Cry game, to go to camps, clear out enemies, and read some notes, and that particularly didn't vibe well with me. What I loved about Metro was being in those tunnels, encountering these exotic factions, and learning about all the different ways of life down there, and I didn't feel they carried that same strength up into the world above. On top of all that, I did struggle to get reeled into the main story. In both 2033 and Last Light, I felt like Artyom's objectives and goals were both clear and believable, and an emphasis on believable. However, when it came to Exodus, I found the idea of searching for humanity appealing yet confusing because suddenly they care now. It was equally as strange that Miller, an experienced war vet, in the tunnels was foolish enough to buy into what was going on in Yamantau, despite how obvious it was to everyone around him. Moments like that didn't exist in prior Metro games, and it's what made the narrative strong. They were consistently engaging and believable, but I felt sometimes I had to pull the wool over my eyes to enjoy things and go, oh wow, I didn't expect that. Now, these may just be two things, but for me, they directly interfered with two things I loved about Metro that carried and propelled my love for the series and my hype to cover the game prior to its launch, which is exploration and storytelling. These two aspects I place great value in from these games. I love digging into every nook and cranny throughout 2033 and Last Light, and I distinctly recall Last Light's ending leaving me in a state where my jaw was on the floor. Now, when Last Light set the bar really high, for me personally, I did not expect Exodus to surpass it, but I just felt a little bit underwhelmed. And a reminder that I did play this on the survival difficulty with my HUD off. I played it in the most preferable way you can experience a Metro game, full immersion on. It was very, very gripping in that manner, but it was just something about the story. I couldn't get myself to care as deeply as I had wanted to. I didn't find the gameplay loop as intriguing. I didn't find the exploration as rewarding. So all in all, Metro Exodus is a game that is good. It is worth playing. It just came with a little more kinks and things that I really hung on to in a negative manner more than I expected. And you'd think, given all this time, that I'd be able to just, shrug it off, move on. But I don't know. If it goes to show anything, I've had a lot of time to digest my opinion on Metro Exodus. I've had a chance to go back, mess around with it, and a lot of that still remains. Nothing's really changed. So that is my opinion on Metro Exodus, a nice aged like fine wine opinion. And I do look forward to the conversation in the comments down below. Once again, I just want to emphasize it's not a bad game by any stretch. I just really had some gripes with it that I think some people were more into and others were not. And do keep in mind, if you are looking into this game, whether you're trying to download it on the Game Pass or whatever, that this is a title that you have multiple endings for based on how you approach the levels, which I did like. However, I did try to take a strictly non-lethal approach, and because of one section in the game where I killed about a dozen people, I got the bad ending. So that was also really disappointing, but I believe that's more on my hands than on the game's fault. But despite all that, Metro Exodus, solid game, just not as incredible as I was looking for. And that will conclude my late but necessary opinion on Metro Exodus. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Do fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.